Hey everyone, it's John here from MCKAY, back with another video. This is going to be my part 2 of this season for the tier list rankings. So at the 30 game mark here for most teams, let's go through it. I got a pretty good response, I'd say, from people on the first tier list. So I'm just going to just do it on the fly, not going to stress too much about it, just based on what I've watched, what I've seen from teams, and how I feel about this current standings and current outlook on the season. So we'll start with right here, Anaheim Ducks. So I'm going to keep the Anaheim Ducks at A. I don't put them at S because I don't know if I'm fully sold on them being a division team in the Pacific, but I got to give a lot of respect to the Ducks. Zegras has turned it on in the last 15 games, 20 games, and I really do think the Ducks can be a playoff team this year based on what I've seen, which is surprising for a lot of people. I mean, even for myself that had them lower in the standings. So Ducks at A. I'm going to put Coyotes at D. I think I'm not really going to have an F because I do think at this point most teams have shown something. I think like outside of the Coyotes and Habs, I think most other teams have had a little bit of stretches. So I am going to put Montreal in D. I do think that these are the two teams that have struggled probably the most this season, or at least haven't really had the brightest parts of their season. But I think a lot of other teams have had something at least to look forward to. The Boston Bruins, I'm going to put at B. I know a lot of Bruins fans are really hard on their team right now, but if you look at the record, they're 14-10-2. They've been missing guys. I think lay off a little bit. I know it's easy to just be hard on your team and just expect better, but I'm looking at the team. If we're complaining, or Bruins fans are complaining about them at 14-10-2, I think expect better to come. So I'm going to put them at B. Hurricanes, S tier for me. I mean, they've been super convincing for most of the season. 21-7-1. A lot of the team has been showing well. Goaltending, at times, Anderson's been a little shaky in comparison to what we saw at the start of the year, but I still think they're in S tier. Chicago, I'll go C. They've shown better. I mean, again, in comparison to what they were doing, they were easily a D or an F in how I had it, but I think a C for Chicago's fair. They're not there yet, but they've done some more winning lately, so I'll give some respect to that. Colorado, A. The reason I'm not giving them S is because there's still the question marks with goaltending, and I still need to see, I would say, more than half of a season of this. So I'm going A. Again, it could be S, but I think I had them B on my first tier list, so they get the bump up to A for the, I would say, improvement in play in these last 10-15 games. Columbus Blue Jackets, I'm going to say they're probably in around the B to C tier. I'm going to say C because they've fallen down to kind of earth lately, but I could probably be a little bit more generous to give them a B. They'll probably be a B minus and C plus for me. I mean, I guess I'll give them the B because they've been a little bit of a surprise. I thought they were going to be worse, and other two people thought they were going to be worse. So I'll keep them at B for now. They might be a high-end C, low-end B. Dallas Stars, I'm probably going to give a B as well. They've shown at times that they can be a playoff team, and keep in mind, they are in a tough Central Division. Yeah, right now recorded at 15-12-2. And some of the games I've watched, I mean, they've beaten some good teams, but then other games they'll just fall down. So not too sure on that. Detroit Red Wings, definitely a high-end B for what they've been doing and what their expectations were. They've had a really good season for what they got, and I think Stevie Y in building this, I would say, a better program to bring them back to the winning ways, the playoff ways. So I think the Red Wings are to be recognized as the team that's been a little bit of a surprise and could maybe push for a wildcard spot. Panthers, S. I think they've fallen back to earth a little bit, and they've struggled at times. We got to keep in mind they haven't had Barkov, and they've been missing other guys. So I'm not going to give... I know Panthers fans for a few games there were kind of panicking. They're still an S-tier team for me. And that's where I go with the Edmonton Oilers going to... I mean, I think I'm being generous with this A. I really am. I think looking at what they've been doing, they could be right here. But I'm ranking it up until this whole point. So I'm ranking it in terms of the season as a whole. They could easily be at B right now if I was just ranking their last 10 to 15 games, but it's a generous A because as a season as a whole, they've shown obviously that they can be dominant and their big guns drive the way. So low end A for me right now. Again, a generous A for how they've been playing lately. New York Islanders, I'm going to be generous and give them a C. I'm not putting them at D because, again, they've been missing a lot of guys, and they've been better. They have been better than they were. The record right now stands at 8-12-6. They go through a 3-4 winning stretch, and they're back to 500. I don't want to say not to worry about them, but I think it's only going to go up. There's no way they stay as bad as this. I'm not saying they make the playoffs, but I'm going to give them a C. LA Kings, their record is above 500. I'm going to give them a B. They've been all right. I think there's been some games where I've seen them. They've been very close one-goal games. I'm going to give them a B. I don't know why I was going to put them in a C. Wild S, again, because, man, they continue to prove me wrong. And while I think still they're probably going to fall down a little bit, I still see them finishing in a division spot for sure in the Central. So S tier for me because of how dominant they've been and consistent for the most part. Had a couple losses lately, but Nashville for me an A, and I'm putting them ahead of Edmonton. They've been a nice surprise. I think Preds fans got to be happy with what they've been doing. 19-10-1. Yeah, they've been really good lately, and guys like Duchesne have been having a great year. Yossi is dominating. Saros has been really good. So and that's a goalie that not many people talk about, or at least enough people talk about. Devils for sure C. I think, yeah, in comparison, I mean, they like Kings. I don't know why I was talking about them with C, but B for sure for the Kings. And I do think when we talk about the Devils, I still think they have a lot to look forward to, but I didn't expect them in playoffs this year, and I think a lot of people were getting ahead of themselves saying they were going to be ahead of certain teams. Rangers, I'm going to go A. I know some people might be like, bro, with the record and what they've been doing, this should be S. As much as they've been amazing, they've been great, I think Rangers fans would acknowledge that they do need more scoring from their depth outside of their big boys. And obviously, a few guys in the defense have played really well. Fox is to that level. It's just Durkin, when he's healthy, has been really good. But I still think they're just missing maybe a piece or two that's really stepping up. Sens, I'm going to go C because, again, I'm not putting them here. And they've had a good stretch there where they were winning games. Batherson, Norris, Kachuk lighting it up. Point per game, over a point per game. The Sens have a lot to look forward to, and I could probably put them at the start of C. They've looked really good. Okay, let's do a fast forward on this video because it screwed up because I didn't have enough space and it didn't record me putting all the teams in the spot, but I'll do a quick analysis, do a fast forward. This is my rankings for 30 games into the season. So just kind of a quick analysis. So Carolina, Florida, Tampa, Minnesota, Vegas, Washington. There's always some error maybe, or always room for improvement in my rankings. But what I'll say is the reason why I don't have teams like Toronto, Colorado, Rangers, Ducks, because my purpose here is looking at the now, what they've done this whole season, and how I see them kind of going forward in what they've done. So I'm still not fully sold on Toronto and a full season and into the playoffs. Colorado didn't have a good start to the season. Yes, without Nate McKinnon, but even slow to start. So Colorado's a high-end A. Toronto's a high-end A. Anaheim's a high-end A for how surprising they've been. The Rangers are high-end A because they've had an easier schedule. Data shows it. A chart that has been developed has shown it. And for myself, I've watched it. But that doesn't take away from what the Rangers have done. They're definitely a high-end A. The other teams, Nashville, Calgary, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Edmonton, not recently, but overall as a season, I think they're like 18-11. Still good seasons. They're in the A, maybe lower end A, but still an A. Teams like Winnipeg, Detroit, Boston, LA, Columbus, Dallas, San Jose. I think you can make an argument for like teams like Columbus, Dallas, San Jose for times this season, maybe even LA, to be in a C, but to me, they're above those teams in the C there. I would put Winnipeg, Detroit, and Boston as high-end Bs. I know Boston fans, like I said, have been hard on their team, but they're still right there. They haven't played as many games, and they should be a playoff team. Okay, so I did want to talk a little bit more about the C tier. So I do, as I said, I believe the Islanders will get better. But the two teams I'm watching out for, because, yeah, I did have the Islanders high in the division. I had the Flyers high in the division, and I had the Canucks making it in the third spot in the Pacific Division. So the two teams right now, Islanders for me are a question mark, but I think they will get better, are the Flyers and the Canucks. I'm looking at these two teams improving their season big time. The Canucks, as I make this video, are on a 7-game win streak. So as I have the Canucks and Flyers, just for the record right now and overall season, while fresh in my mind right now, the Canucks are flying. I do have to recognize them. I'm analyzing here their overall season. So their overall season is not just the last 7 games, not just the last 10 games or 9 games. It's overall. Because, yeah, they have won 9 of their last 10 games. They're on a crazy, crazy streak right now. Bruce Boudreau. So I'm giving credit to the Canucks and Flyers because I think by the time I make the next tier list video, I believe these 2 teams can be higher, and maybe the Islanders as well. So I think S tier, Carolina, Florida, Tampa, those 3 teams are the scariest teams in my eyes right now. I think you can move up Washington to be that number 4, Minnesota number 5, and then Vegas number 6. Vegas has done it without their top guys for a lot of it, and they still have Eichel to come back at some point. So to me, Vegas is so scary when they have Eichel, or when they will get Eichel, but they're already scary now at the top of their division or top 2 in their division. So for me, you could definitely put Vegas as a high-end A or in that A category. But because of how impressive they've been without top players and shown that their depth has stepped up, like even a guy like Nick Waugh, like so many guys have stepped up for that Vegas team. So I got to give mad respects. Again, could go A, low-end S. But again, my 3 scariest teams for sure gotta be Carolina, Florida, Tampa, with like Washington right there. They did a lot without Backstrom, and now he's back. Goaltending would be my only question mark probably with that team. So let me know your thoughts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and yeah, like I said, always comment. I know maybe these rankings aren't perfect, but they changed a bit. They definitely changed a bit since my first rankings, and I'm sure they will change a lot more in probably 20 games or whatever I do it next. But I just thought we're in a little bit of a break right now going into the new year of 2022, and I thought I would give a little bit of a ranking list on these teams. So thank you so much for watching. This was John from Hot Take Hockey. Have a good one. Peace out.